documenting the true life history of the Hawaiian Monk Seals from birth to weaning. Refutes the idea put forth by NOAA, Office of Protected Resources, that seals nurse their pup at one location on the beach for 30 days and do not go in the water during that time. Fair use notice. The following may contain copyrighted materials made available to advance understanding. It is believed that this constitutes a fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. copyright laws. According to NOAA's Fisheries Office of Protected Resources, nursing occurs for about 1 month, during which time the mother fasts and remains on land. After this period, the mother abandons her pup and returns to sea. The video you are about to see documents the true life history of the Hawaiian Monk Seal from birth to weaning, the first 50 days in the life of a seal. It shows mother taking her pup to the water within hours of birth. Then we witness mother encouraging the pup to swim, day 4 and 5 this video. We observe mother demonstrating how to find food by pushing her snout through the sand below, exposing the crustaceans within. We observe another technique which involves blowing a stream of water into the sand to expose creatures for consumption. Day 47, particularly good example in this video. This view is from the top of the trailhead, and you can actually see a mom and her newborn pup in the water. This is my first view of RY30 and her pup. The time I took it, I didn't realize she was in it, nor that they are in the water. This view documents the birth location and also shows that mom took her pup into the water within hours after its birth. 4 hours later, and I'm on the beach, and I see mom and her pup in close proximity to the water. Note the umbilical cord on the black pup there to the left. The pup was born about sunrise this morning, slightly up the beach, closer to the vegetation line. It's about 9 o'clock on day 2, and mom and pup are in the same positions where they probably spent the night. No question, pup is hooked up and nursing and having breakfast. It's about 8 o'clock on the 3rd day, and mom and pup are in the water and interacting with an Hawaiian family. Remember, according to NOAA, mom stays on the beach and nurses for 30 days and does not go in the water during that time. But the interesting thing is what's over behind mom on the right. Up above her, you can see RY30 and the pup heading into the water. Here's a close-up view. The previous day, the pup was in the shallow and didn't venture very far into the water. Looks like today is going to be different. Mom continues to move along, and it looks like one bewildered pup is trying to stay with her. Doing a pretty good job. Something happened. The pup bolted, headed toward shore. It's come back, circling around in front of its mom. If I was there, I would think the pup's saying, "I don't want any more of this." A half hour later, and it looks like mom is starting to stir. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on the 5th day, and Mom's on a mission. She's heading toward the water. It's 7 in the morning, and Mom heads to the water with Pup in tow, just like the previous day. Mom appears to be offering breakfast. We will see. Offering breakfast is how Mom induces a pup to come into the water and learn to swim. It is a very useful technique, and I've seen Mom use it many, many times in the preparation of this series. Pup has had enough and bolts and heads for shore. Pup changes its mind and begins looking for its mom. Pup finds Mom and reunites. Pup reconnects with Mom, and Mom heads for shore. It's only 10 minutes since this clip began, but in that 10 minutes, a lot has happened. Two hours later than their swimming lesson, Mom and Pup are still hanging out in the water. It's 5 hours later than the previous midday clip, and Mom and Pup are chilling out on the beach. Dia has decided to have a sand facial and is busy applying that material to her face. It's sunrise on day 6, and we find RY30 and her 6-day-old pup on the beach, exactly where we left them the previous evening. Six-day-old pup is ready to go to the water, but Mom is not and voices her opinion. It's a half hour later and Mom should be in the water, but she's had to climb over a lot of rocks because the tide is out. Late afternoon, some 7 hours from the previous video, and Mom and Pop are on the beach, probably where they'll spend the night. It is mid-afternoon on the 7th day when I arrive at Kalapapa and meet up with Eve, our 006, and her pup. About a mile away, we find Eve's daughter, RB16, with her 7-day-old pup. Here's another view of Eve's daughter, RB16, in the water. In the background is RI15 and her 21-day-old pup. It's 7:24 in the evening, and Eve, our 006, and pup are sacked out on the beach. Up the coast, Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are sacked out on the beach. It's day 8, and Eve and her pup are just stirring on the beach. 6:27 in the morning. A few minutes later, we find Eve's daughter and her pup in the same configuration on their beach. Four and a half hours later, we find Eve and her pup are back in the water and taking it easy. Note the baby is blowing bubbles, working on its sleeping in the water routine. Meanwhile, up the coast, Eve's daughter and her pup are getting situated to spend the afternoon in the water. All indications are that Mother is getting ready to offer the pup an opportunity to nurse. Then things change, and that opportunity disappears. The pup is left looking for something else to do, and perhaps that is the whole idea. It's getting late in the afternoon, and we find Eve is observing her youngster. Later, they are resting side by side. On the other beach, Eve's daughter is resting with her pup. It's just about nightfall, and Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are hauled out on the beach where they will spend the night in the background. It's 6:23 a.m. on the morning of May 19th, 2013, and Eve is being nursed by her pup. On the next beach, Eve's daughter is conversing with her son, who apparently has come back from exploring. Each day it is apparent that the pup is venturing farther away from its mother before returning. I have often noted that the pup is inclined to head toward the water, often before mom is ready. After an hour or so, mother takes the pup down to the ocean to continue foraging. Note how mother, Eve's daughter, RB16, is seemingly enticing the pup to nurse. When she has the pup's attention, she rolls over and redirects that attention to what mom is doing. In the rest of this segment, we see the pup bobbing up and down around its mother, seemingly looking at what she is doing. Note the action of mom's flipper as she redirects the pup to her and what she is doing. It's 6 hours later than we last saw Eve and her pup. They're now on the beach taking it easy. On the next beach, Eve's daughter, RB16, and her pup are entering the water for an afternoon of foraging. Again, we see the mom taking a very in-your-face approach to showing the pup what to do. Here mom's directly in front of us and we get a better view of the instruction technique. Vocal instruction associated with this foraging lesson. It's late afternoon and Eve and her pup have hauled out on the beach and are positioned where they will probably spend the night. Up the coast, Eve's daughter and her pup have hauled out where they will probably spend the night. It's the morning of day 10, and we find Eve and her pup where we left them the night before. Just starting to get up. At the next beach, Eve's daughter and her pup are also beginning to rise and shine. You can see the bubbles as Mom demonstrates the technique of moving the sand to expose the prey. It's midday. And Eve's pup is entering and leaving the water under the watchful supervision of Mom. This is priceless. The pup is leaving the water, then turning around, and then entering the water. And then leaving the water, and then entering the water, and practicing the ins and outs of coming in and out of the surf. Just what it needs to know to be a good surfing seal. It is mid-afternoon, and Eve's daughter is on the beach with the pup, thinking about what it wants to do for the rest of the afternoon. It's morning on day 11. It's 6:42 a.m. and we find Eve watching her pup returning from some sort of sojourn down the beach. It's morning time on day 11 and Eve's daughter and her pup are on the beach contemplating what they're going to do for the rest of the day. Note the bleach mark 5 placed on this 7-day-old monk seal. In the next 20 days or so, the pup will shed its coat and lose the bleach mark. It will be interesting to see if the alien scent causes this mother to abandon her pup. It is midday and Eve, R006, is out with the pup looking for food. Once again, we see the mom directing the pup's attention to the substrate below. The fine points of foraging are explored. Midday and Eve's daughter and her pup are hauled out on the beach, taking it easy. It's late in the afternoon and Eve and her pup have hauled out close to where they usually spend the night. At her beach, Eve's daughter is hauling out with the pup, getting ready to spend the night at her traditional spot. It's morning on day 12, and it appears that Eve still wants to sleep in a little bit, but her pup is tossing around and ready for action. It is about 8 o'clock, and Eve's daughter and pup are already out foraging. It is apparent that the pup is becoming more adept at foraging as time passes. A short time later, Mom and Pup have returned to shallow water and are working on the fine points of foraging. Mom and Pup are spending a lot more time in the water. They have been intensively working on food gathering techniques, becoming more and more proficient each day. Meanwhile, back at Eve's Beach, Mom prepares to spend more time with her pup in the water. It's midday and Eve, R006, and Pup have shifted up onto the beach to continue nursing. At the next beach, we find a young photographer walking by a nursing seal and her pup. As is the usual case, the seals don't even react. It's later in the day and we find Eve looking for her pup. She has lost sight of her pup, and she calls out for it and moves down the beach looking for it. The pup is just on the other side of that rock shelf in front of her and blocked from her view. It's early evening and Mom, Eve, R006, and Pup settle in to spend the night at this location. It's sunset on day 12, and this concludes our observation. It's early afternoon on day 13, and I find RQ-21 and her pup offshore at Iliopee Beach. It appeared to me that the seals saw me on shore and came over to say hi. It's often the case with these guys. It's a little after 6 p.m., and I would observe our seals at the far end of Iliopee Beach. The location was such that it would take me about 15 minutes to walk over there. As I approach, Casanova, RW32, comes over to say hello to me. My camera decides to act up, so these shots are not of the quality that I usually get, but they're very indicative of this seal's behavior, and I needed to show that. Monk seals are very adept at interspecies communication. NOAA doesn't seem to understand that or even care about that. There is a physical display of greeting and then an audio signal. A few moments later, Mother decides she wants to make some changes on where they are going to overnight. The plan appears to be to relocate slightly and settle in for the night. It's time for another Kalapapa sunset, and Mom and Pup are relocating to another position to spend the night. It's 7:11 on day 14, and we can see Mom and Pop sacked out in the position where I had left them the previous evening. Mom decides it's time to get on with the day's foraging activity and heads to the water. Note that without any encouragement from Mom, the pup is in front of Mom in position to see firsthand how to go about gathering food. It was only a few days ago that Mom spent a lot of time directing the pup to this learning position. Mom appears to be demonstrating a technique which involves pushing her snout through the sand to expose edible sea creatures below. This is a technique used by monk seals to gather most of their food. Four hours later, we find Casanova, RW32, down at Iliopee Beach attempting to visit with RQ-21 and Pup. RQ-21 advises Casanova that visiting hours are not happening today and he should leave. Casanova takes the hint and moves off. It's early evening and we're looking at RQ-21 and her pup on Iliopii Beach. And they're hauled out at a position slightly farther south than before. It's a little after 6 p.m. on day 14 and we leave our seals sleeping on the beach. It's morning of day 15 and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on Iliopii Beach. It's about 8:30 in the morning and the 15-day-old pup is eager and ready to hit the water. Mom isn't quite as concerned. The tide is out, so the trip to the water is going to take about 45 minutes and be rather arduous in between. Finally, we're just about at the end of the debris field and the open water lies just ahead. It's 2 o'clock on day 15 and there is Mom and Pop hauled out on the middle of Iliopii Beach. It's 5:23 on day 15 and we find Mom and Pop about midway Iliopii Beach where we found them earlier. Looks like they're tucked in and where I would expect them to spend the night. It's a half hour later and Pup has decided it's time to get back to foraging. We will see what Mother has to say. A little while later and Mom and Pop have made it to open water. It is about an hour later than the last clip and Mom and Pop return to shallow water and more foraging. 1 o'clock in the afternoon of day 16 and Mom and Pop are foraging off Iliopii Beach. It's about a half hour later and our seals have returned to near shore. It's shortly after 6 p.m. and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on the beach. Looks like they are snoozing and looks like they are probably tucked in for the night. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning of day 17 and we are going to check on our seals. Meanwhile, back with the seals, we find a little nursing going on. Basically, they're getting ready to face the day. Back to the water for a morning of foraging, as usual. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon and Mom and Pop look like heading toward shore and are planning to haul out. A little after 6 in the evening of the day 17, and we find Mom and Pop being visited by Casanova at Iliope Beach. Another view of Mom and Pop after Casanova has left. It's midday on day 18, and Mom and Pop are in the water off the center of Iliope Beach. Close to shore and foraging in the surf. Expect they will haul out shortly. About a half hour later than the previous clip, and Mom leads the pair up the beach. It's 4:38 p.m. the evening of day 18, and we are looking for Mom and Pop, and there they are, out in the water off Iliope Beach. As is their custom, when they see me, they come over and say hello. It's 5:11 p.m. on day 18, and guess who is coming around? If you guessed Casanova, you are right. There he is, tooling in. In a few seconds, he makes contact with RQ-21, and she gives him her standard response. It's a short time later, and it looks like RQ-21 and her pup are getting comfortable on the beach. It is morning of day 19, and Lona and the pup are in the same position they were when we were last seen the previous day. It's later in the day, and Lona and the pup are just offshore, having a little lunch. It's late morning of day 20, and I find Lona involved in an altercation with Casanova, a young male with a reputation, as his name implies. Keep in mind that the Pacific Island Fisheries Science Center would have us believe our two seals are sitting up on the beach nursing for 30 days and not going in the water. A little later in the day, Lona and Pup are offshore. Looks like flippers are up and that they're foraging. About an hour later, and our intrepid foraging seals have returned to shore. Looks like they're sacked out and ready for nightfall. It's morning on day 21, and Lona and Pup are in the water, taking it easy. Late afternoon on the day I arrive, I find RI-15 and her female pup on Iliope Beach. It's 7:35 on the evening of day 21. It looks like our seals are hauled out for the night. It's early morning, day 22, and Mom and Pop are actively foraging just off the place where they presumably spent the night. It is all about foraging. Mom and Pop are constantly feeding. Not the best angle, but if you look close, you can see the Pop opening and closing her mouth as she devours her latest ocean snack. It's about noon on day 22, and Mom is snoozing on the edge of the water. The pup would like a snack, but Mom is not cooperating, and the pup turns to the substrate nearby to find its own food. It's a little after 6 p.m., and our two seals are hauled out on the beach and taking it easy. It's early evening, about 7 o'clock, and our two seals look like they're tucked in for the night. It's nearly 7 a.m. on day 23, and our seals are sacked out on the beach. The background seal is RB16 and her 9-day-old pup. It is interesting to note that there are 6 mothers and their pups on the beaches of Kalapapa at this time. A different view angle of Mom and Pop on the beach. The pup must be aware that Mom has come down the hill and turns around and goes over to have a consultation, see what's up. I am not sure if there is consensus or Mom has decided it is a good time to get back to foraging. About 40 minutes later, and the pup is busy foraging while Mom appears to be taking a nap on her back. The seals are in the water just offshore and quite visible to the camera. It is clear the pup is clearing sand on the bottom and gathering food. It's about 1 o'clock. After about 4 hours of foraging, our seals have decided to come out. Morning, day 24, and Mom and Pop are hauled out at the north end of Iliopi Beach. It's day 24, and RI and her pup are not located where they usually have been the last few days. They are now situated at the north end of the beach, hauled out, snoozing. Another view angle and the idea that the pup and Mom are still snoozing suggests to me that they may have been out the previous evening, well after dark. It's midday on day 25, and we find Mom and Pop are on the north end of the beach. It's morning of day 26, and RI-15 and her pup are snoozing on the rocks rather than on the beach. It's about 1:30, and our seals are sacked out back on the sandy beach of the shore. It's day 27, about 2:11 in the afternoon. I encounter Mom, RV06, trying to entice her pup into the water by offering lunch. Just as the pup approaches to make a connection, Mom shifts her position and moves off. The new instruction appears to be "follow me," and the pup complies. The next thing is that Mom is in deeper water and directing the pup to the bottom. Pup complies and is seen here diving for its lunch rather than nursing. A little while later, and the pup is closer to shore in shallow water. A great opportunity to observe the details of this foraging activity. Pup is clearing sand with water and air blasts, picking up the exposed creatures from the substrate below. It's 9 in the morning on day 28. RV06 and her pup are out in the water foraging as we join them. Watch closely. The pup is chewing on something. It's about 11:30 on day 28, and we find Mom RV06 and her pup hauling out and snoozing on the beach. Four and a half hours later, and Mom RV06 and her 28-day pup are still snoozing on the beach. The pup's had enough snoozing and gets motivated. Starts to haul up to its mom up the beach for a little chat. After a good 5 hours of taking it easy and relaxing on the beach, Mom and pup have entered the water and are now foraging, looking for food. A little while later, and Mom decides it's time to haul out. It's mid-morning on day 29, and RV06 and her pup are already in the water, looking for food. It's about an hour later on day 29, and Mom and pup have returned to shore. Looks like they may be getting ready to haul out. Early in the morning of day 30, we find Mom and pup sacked out on shore. Mom looks a little startled to find herself being poked by a hungry pup looking for food. It's 8:45 a.m. in the morning, day 30, and RV06 and her pup are hauled out slightly offshore on the rocks. The morning light shows off the monk seal's makeup. Eyeliner around the eyes and little dashes of green algae on the lower body, giving the seal a distinctive look. Late morning, day 30, RV06 and her pup are out there bopping around in the surf looking for food. Late afternoon on day 30, and RV06 and Pup are hauled out slightly up the beach, having a snooze. It's sunrise on day 31, and RV06 and Pup are nursing under a tree. Two and a half hours later, in RV06 and Pup are off in the water. Midday, and our seals are hauled out and snoozing on the beach. It's 6:15 on day 31, and our seals are curled up on the beach. Looks like they're getting ready to spend the night here. "50 minutes later, and our seals are gone. All that's left appears to be a drag mark down to the water. Panning into the darkness, I can't see them, but I can hear them. Did you hear that? First Mom and then the pup. Why, those rascals, they must know I can't see them, and here they are swimming in toward shore, so I can get a very good look at them. They linger for a few minutes, and then they turn and head back out. There we have it. Actual nighttime documentation of a foraging expedition in the moonlight. It's 7:15 on day 32, and our two seals are chilling out on the beach. It's early evening on day 32. After a day of malfunctioning cameras, I am able to get a couple of still shots of the seals preparing to spend the night. It's about 3 o'clock on day 34, and I encounter RQ-21 and her pup on Iliopi Beach. Monk seals are born black, but lose their baby fur when they're about a month old. It's 4:28 in the afternoon of day 35, and we finally catch up with our seals on the beach. Note that whatever you can see of our pup monk seal has sort of a grayish cast to it. It's late morning on day 36. We have a clear view of the belly, and its lightning is becoming quite evident. The individual black hairs of the pup have mostly fallen out as of this video. The mottled appearance of the pup is variation in the color of the new fur that has grown in. That is correct. The new hairs have ability to change color from slate gray to white with all shades in between. It took me a while to understand what was actually happening with regard to the color shift. The pup rolls over on its back as if on cue. Note the color shift that's becoming evident since the last video. It's late afternoon on day 36 and our seals are on the beach, snoozing like they often do. It's morning on day 37 and our seals are nursing on the beach. It's 3:12 p.m. in the afternoon of day 37 and the seals are still reclining on the beach having lunch. A late lunch at that. It's day 38, morning, and there's no sign of any seals on the beach. There is sign of their wallow mark where they spent the night and their drag line back into the water. The seals are nowhere in sight. I suspect they are out beyond the reef foraging. It's midday and we observe our seals slightly off the beach in the water. Seemingly on cue, it rolls over and we zoom in and look how white that belly has become just in the last 24 hours. Quite astounding. A response to those numerous requests to see a picture of me in my own videos. Here I am. Thank you. It's 6:39 in the evening and our seals on shore. Looks like they're taking a nap. Maybe they're going to do some later evening fishing. It's morning day 39 and our seals are bopping around offshore foraging, looking for food. Seeing us, they decide to come over and say hi. The pup is seen here munching on something that it's picked up off the bottom of the ocean. Mom is nearby and keeping an eye on things. Gives her a sign of approval. Arrive at the beaches of Kalapapa about 3 o'clock, afternoon of day 40. RQ-21 and her 40-day-old pup are in the process of hauling out at the far end of Iliopi'i Beach. I am told by another observer that the seals have spent the morning in the water and are just now hauling out. It's basically 6 in the evening and we find our seals hauled out where we saw them a few hours ago. They are up the beach and close to the vegetation line, and I expect this is where they'll spend the night. It's about 8 o'clock, day 41, and our seals have got an early start and are out splashing around foraging. It's about 1:30 on day 41, and I don't recognize this seal immediately that's hanging out on shore. I will come to believe that this is RT-22, an expectant female that will give birth in a couple of days. RQ-21 and her 41-day-old pup cruising offshore just in proximity to this expectant mother. Moments later, my attention is called to these two combating seals. Is one of them RT-22, an expectant female I already mentioned? It's early evening and Mom and Pop are hauled out on the beach where they've been all afternoon. It's clear this is where they're going to spend the night. It's morning on day 42, and not surprisingly, we find Mom and Pop hauled out on the beach where we left them the night before. Looks like the plane is da FedEx. It's only 10 minutes since the last video, and Mom and Pop have moved down from the beach onto the rocks and are getting ready to move into the water. The tide is out, and it will take Mom and Pop some time to traverse the rocks and get to the water. We'll watch them for a while. Look who's showing up in the foreground. It's our old buddy Casanova, dropping in to say hello. It's about 42 minutes later, and Mom and Pop finally reach some deeper water. They encounter Casanova and continue to spend time here, searching for food. It's about 2 on day 42, and Mom and Pop are hauled out on the beach. Perhaps you've picked it up already, but there's a good rainfall going on, and you can see it in the imagery. Looks a little soft. Here it is later in the afternoon, and you can see that the rainfall is continuing. It's morning on day 43, and it's apparent that the rainfall is still continuing. It's going to be a very rainy time here in Kalaupapa these few days. The rain continues, and it appears our seals are going to hang out on the beach. It's 15 minutes later, and our seals are going to go about their daily routine, rain or no rain. They are headed toward the water. "30 minutes later, and they're back up on the beach, chilling out. It's about 4 hours later, and RQ-21 and her pup are hauled out on the beach, no longer at the extreme north end of the beach. It's early evening, day 43, and our seals are hauled out on the beach, probably where they're going to spend the night. It's morning on day 44, and we find our seals hauled out on the beach having a snooze. It's later in the morning, and RQ-21 and her pup are in the water at the end of Ethiopia Beach. It's a little later on day 44 morning. We find our mom and pup are sacked out in the water just offshore. It's raining on mid-afternoon, day 44, and our featured seals are on the beach taking a snooze. It's early evening on day 44, and our featured seals are on the beach and appear to be tucked in and preparing to spend the night. It's morning on day 45, and it's not raining. How about that? It appears our featured seals, RQ21 and her pup, are sacked out on the beach. We're going to zoom down to the other end of the beach and see what our featured family is doing at this time of the morning on this auspicious day. I don't think they're aware of the birth. I think they're just going about their daily routine. Checking on our featured family, we find mom and pup are in the water just offshore. This is our featured family hauling up on the beach, getting pretty close to where they'll probably spend the night. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon of day 47, and I find Lona and her pup nursing on Papaloa Beach. Look at the size of that pup, nearly 7 weeks old, and she's huge. Pup is tagging along and takes a moment to check me out. The pup then returns to what it is doing, and that is foraging for food. Head is down, and pup is blowing air and water to move sand. This is a fascinating sequence because we are so close and the water is so clear. It's about 7 in the evening on day 47, and mom and pup are snoozing on the beach. It's morning of day 48, and RO17 and her pup are on the beach. Looks like they're just snoozing. 1:39 in the afternoon, and mom and pup are just chilling out on the beach. It's later in the afternoon, and mom is cruising, looking for her pup. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we find our seals on day 49 out in heavy surf, bobbing up and down, looking for food. This is in such sharp contrast to yesterday, when the seals were in shallow water and spent the day nursing or snoozing. Just a half hour later, and our foraging dynamic duo has come closer in toward shore and is working in the shallows, looking for food. Later in the afternoon of day 49, and the pup is still out actively foraging for food, as mother sits nearby keeping an eye on things. It's later in the afternoon, mother quietly observing nearby, slips away, and the pup is weaned. It's morning on day 50, and the pup is alone where it has spent the night by itself. I would not characterize the pup as abandoned. I would say the pup has been weaned. Mother is nearby, and she will check in either later the day or the next day to see how the pup is doing. Weeks to follow, the pup will feed around Kalapapa. In a month or so, it'll go off with its mom back to Maui. Mom has been preparing the pup for this day since the day it was born. Nobody raises a monk seal better than a mama monk seal. NOAA should keep that in mind. Thank you. You have permission to download and distribute this video through any venue, commercial or non-commercial, under the condition that you do not alter the content in any way. Translations are fine. Special thanks, Eric K. Brown, marine ecologist, Kalapapa National Historical Park, Julie Lopez, Friends of Monk Seals, Molokai, James K. Walsh, PC, Attorney at Law, Eugene, Oregon. Until next time, peace be with you.